Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming out. I know for some of you it's your third night here, some it's your second night, some it's your first. But for everyone, you made an effort to get here, so thank you. You still have a lot of time to make yourselves. Be what you want, S.E. Hinton. S.E. Hinton wrote The Outsiders, along with many other interesting novels. Very few authors make it big, but there are even fewer who can write an interesting book that all readers will enjoy, while teaching a meaningful lesson. As an aspiring author, that is my dream. There were many things I could have done my project on. I remember the day there was the deadline for picking my project. My mother was trying to get me to pick one of many things, such as photography, veterinary medicine, interior design, website design, video game design, and I knew that I wanted to do writing. It was kind of like that boy you saw at the supermarket. You might have shared a smile. Admit it, you know what I'm talking about. It was like that. I couldn't get it out of my head. You might be thinking, she does know how to write, and I do. I can write almost any type of essay, argumentative, compare and contrast, informative, etc. But I've never really written stories before, unless you include this one book I wrote in 3rd grade. But it was only a few pages, and most of it was just thanking everybody for reading it. We talk about how we have other published books when I've never published a book before, or even written a book. And there was even a section where it says, as they got further and further into the cave, they started to hear barking that sounded like barks. But then Leah and Leia heard that the barking sound was not barks. I don't know, it doesn't make much sense. What I enjoy about stories is that you can write in past, present, or future tense, along with first, second, or third person. This allows you to showcase your creativity in multiple different ways. It's a little intimidating to have your ideas come to life on paper, but I really enjoyed the freedom of letting my thoughts run wild and creating my own little world complete with its own little people. Originally, I thought I would write a short novel, edit it, maybe even be somewhere in the publishing process by the time projects came around, but I couldn't have been further from reality. First of all, I couldn't come up with a plot. I was like these people right here, kind of just forcing myself to think of something. I turned to my first mentor, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, Mr. Shanti O'Ryan, and I was ready to pretty much apologize for ever asking him to help me. And then I asked for help. He told me he completely understood what I was going through and that I should just write about something I was enthusiastic about because I'd have more fun with it and it'd be more interesting for the reader and the writer. But not to completely give up on my long story ideas, which I had stories for long chapter books and long series, but I didn't really want to do that as my first book. Because although no story has a true beginning or end, I could just make a micro story out of one of my favorite scenes. I got an idea. I read a book. It was the first book in a series of unfortunate events because I went on a backpacking trip to Havasu Falls, and that was one of the few things I brought. Ironically, I didn't like it, and it helped me to know what I wanted to avoid with writing. I got an idea later that day, and as I said, I went on a backpacking trip, so I didn't have a laptop or even pen and paper, but I ended up writing over 1,000 words on my tiny phone keyboard, and I was really proud of my progress in such a short time because I wrote it in about 2 hours. So I was extremely proud of myself, and I wrote offline on Google Docs, and I even went back and saved my work and added more, and I was really paranoid. Every few seconds I would pick up my phone and make sure it was still there because I was afraid that it would just disappear. And although this idea was mine, I wasn't enjoying it. It was forced, and nothing was really flowing, and I decided to keep it just for the sake of having something because I had procrastinated my project quite a bit, but I didn't like it. Well, I left early the next morning. I trekked back to the car, and by the time I was awake enough to write more and upload it so that it wasn't offline anymore, I couldn't find the file. To this day, I still don't know where it went. I was really surprised that I didn't freak out because, knowing me, I guess you could call myself a perfectionist, and I like everything to be in order, and the fact that it wasn't there and I didn't freak out, I don't know, I'm still confused as to why I didn't. I again turned to Mr. O'Ryan and I told him what had happened. He told me that he hoped I found my file and that technology hates writers more than writers hate themselves. Very wise words in my opinion. So finding my second mentor. Around the same time as this all happened, my dad had been talking to one of his coworkers, Mr. Tallman, and he's a local author. I had already found a mentor and I told him that, but he still really wanted to help and give me some advice. So one day after school I get a call and it's my dad, Mr. Tallman, and I ended up, as I said, I got some great advice and actually a mentor out of it. I also heard about a book called On Writing by Stephen King, and it really helped me get started because the first half is an autobiography about how Stephen King started his writing journey, and then the second half is about how he starts his books and plots them, and it really helped me get started. And I got my great idea. I started writing one night, completely random, and everything was flowing and working, and I really enjoyed writing. I was extremely enthusiastic about what I was writing, and I thought, this is the reason I chose to write. At first, well, let me backtrack. I have this notepad, and I write ideas on it for my books, and I had quite a few. I'm not sure why I didn't turn to this in the first place, but the first one started with something like, the hot shower felt good on so-and-so's cold baby body. She tried to unsuccessfully rub the dry sleep out of her eyes. She was exhausted. So much had happened in the last few weeks, she didn't know where to start. Actually, she did. Now that is written in past tense, third person, and along with it, I actually wrote the ending, which is something like she wakes up, she had fallen asleep in the shower, and her mom's calling her, and she talks about how it's another long day. Well, I decided that I wanted to write it in first person present tense to help get to know the character a little bit better, so I changed it to the hot shower feels good on my cold aching body. I tried to unsuccessfully rub the dry sleep out of my eyes. I am exhausted. So much has happened in the last few weeks, I don't know where to start. Actually, I do. And I really enjoyed this. I wrote about a girl in her early teens who has visions and who actually experienced her first one with her. And I became addicted to writing. I would spend hours writing. I was kind of like this guy right here, except it wasn't on a typewriter. On Friday and Saturday nights, that's what I would spend my time doing. You hear about teens who get drunk at parties and do drugs, and then me, on Friday night, in this lower right corner, I would shut off all my lights, and I would sit in my room, at my desk, or on my bed, and the only thing would be the glow of the computer screen cast upon my face, and you could hear the hum of the computer and the clicking and clacking of the keys, and my eyes were glued to the screen and my fingers were plastered to the keyboard. And I quite enjoyed how it worked out, although it sounds pretty boring. So the main character, who the perspective is written about, I'm going to call her A for purposes of not spoiling the rest of the book, but she's a bit harsh and awkward. And she has a crush, and the fact that she likes boys is completely beyond me. You might be thinking, why are you confused with a character you created? Well, it's kind of like having a kid. Although you create them, you can't really control control them. And it's actually something I read on writing as well. I don't quite remember, but I think Stephen King was talking about a mystery writer who was kidnapped by a crazy fan, and she kept him in a room, and he hoped to have it end where the writer was killed in some sort of gruesome way, but instead he let the writer figure it out himself, and he ended up getting himself out of the situation. So it taught me that you create a character to create themselves, and you can influence their decisions, and that can have a big part on their choice, but you don't make them, and in the end you don't have the control. The other main character was a boy named Callan. He's very different from the main character. He's shy, friendly, and he makes friends with most of the main character's friends because they meet at her workplace. It also made her a little harsher to him because she's kind of mad that he just steps in on her life. And that's really all you find out for the first few chapters. So I continued my writing addiction, and I would spend hours revising and not even writing, and I wouldn't do my homework. Sorry, Miss Craig, Miss Van Horn. Chapter 2 was coming to a close, and I decided it was time to edit, and I could always write more after that initial editing process, but I needed to start. I had a moment of hesitation. I felt extremely vulnerable, opening my writing to complete strangers, and although I've been emailing them, I had never met them. And their influence was again. With my school papers, my teachers give us notes, and from that I craft a paper, add a few transitions, a few analogies, and that's it. And they edit it, basically just saying I need to add transitions or analogies and add anything I might have left out.